Ladies and gentlemen, on this topic, Viksit Bharat 2047, Agri Inputs Industries Powering Productivity Towards a $3 trillion Agri Economy. This panel helps towards exploring how innovations in seeds, crop protection, fertilizers, and biosolutions are shaping the next era of Indian agriculture. Thought leaders will discuss productivity enhancement, sustainable growth, and strategic policies needed to make India's agri sector a global powerhouse by 2047. On this topic, let us all put our hands together as I invite the moderator on stage. Ram Kaundinya, partner Agvaya, the moderator. Let's welcome sir again, please. Let's invite our panelist, Raju Kapoor, Director, Public and Industry Affairs, FMC. We have Mohan, Babu, Rajaram, COO, India, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, Bayer Crop Sciences. And Prashant, Belgamwar, Regional Head, Asia, Africa and International Vegetables, Advanta Seeds. Can we give the moderator and panelists an exemplary round of applause together as they are here for the next panel discussion, which stands on Viksit Bharat 2047. So without any further ado, handing over to the moderator, Ram Kaundinya.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, rather. And so I'm very happy to be conducting this important discussion on Viksit Bharat and the preparedness of agriculture for that. Viksit Bharat is, let's say, around 22 years away. That's a good enough time for us to think really long and think really big. I think more than long, thinking big is very important because we must look at the future with a lot of optimism in spite of a lot of problems that have been highlighted earlier this evening also, and we all know about some of the challenges to our productivity levels and things like that. But I do also hear an interesting argument from, I think more from ICAR. I hear this, that we have to also look at productivity per day, which actually India scores very high because we grow many crops. It's not like the temperate countries where they grow only 2 crops or sometimes only 1 crop. So if you look at 365 days and how much we produce, our productivity per day is actually quite good. But anyway, so we will come back to our 2047 objective. So I think the challenges are very clear to all of us, the increasing population and then the increasing demand for food. And we have also talked about the natural resources issue, the soil. In fact, Dr. Ratanlal, who got food prize, says that our soils may die in the next 50 years' time. So what is it that we have to do to actually protect our soils? And there was a good discussion in the previous discussion on this. So natural resources, water conservation, and finally farmer must make money at the end of the day. That not only increasing yields, but also he should make money. And India, with our level of population, we are going to be 170 crore people by 2047. So it's not a small number. You can just imagine how the roads will look like and how the traffic will look like by 2047. So that means we cannot be an import-dependent country. We have to have self-sufficiency in all the crops. Today we import almost 2 lakh crores worth of edible oils and pulses. So even that cannot continue. So there are challenges, but there are also opportunities in terms of technology, in terms of development of multiple inputs that we talked about. So how do we actually bring new technologies into some of these inputs? How do we look at economic practices? How do we look at farmer education, which also came out in the earlier discussions? And so agri input industry in this context has a huge role to play. And I have with me three leading players here. On my left is Mohan Babu from Baya, who looks after the entire India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and so more or less South Asia. And we have Raju Kapoor, my old colleague, maybe 40 years back. Yeah. So Raju Kapoor is here. He is also from a very big company, FMC, and policy expert. Then we have Prashant. Prashant is also a very well-known figure in the seed industry. Earlier with Syngenta, looking after vegetables, but as head of Advanta for South Asia, and later for much bigger geographies. He has done an outstanding job and then has increased Advanta's business in India particularly to some unimaginable levels, which we never imagined before. When I was heading Advanta, we never imagined that India will reach such levels. So these are all high achievers sitting with me. And so I would like to just give them 5 minutes each to give their opening statements about, so we have agrochemicals represented here, we have seeds represented here, we have biologicals represented here, and biotechnology represented here, everything is here. So please give your opening statement of 5 minutes and then we'll go for some questions. I start from my left side always, okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Kaundinya Garu, and thanks to Raj for creating this platform. I think it's very interesting to understand at this juncture how to be one of the elements to bring India into the next levels. Yeah. So for me, agri input industry can act as a catalyst to bring out the best. Why I say that? Agri input industries can be the catalyst for creating from our nation, from a food secure nation to almost a farm powerhouse. Why I say this? We need to focus on 4 things, and all the 4 things we have. One is productivity. We are good at this point of time. We need to make it great. The second one is sustainability. As I was just listening to the previous panel, it's very clearly coming out that soil conservation is very important. At the same time, any powerhouse cannot be without environmental safety and environmental caretaking. The third piece I look at is sustainability. Whatever we build, that can be sustainable or not, that's very important. Final thing is the efficiencies. So all this, we have some good knowledge, but we have to move into the next levels, and that will help our nation to become a powerhouse, then just a food secured nation. And as you rightly said, Kaundinya Garu, I think we have to feed the nation first, for sure. But at the same time, we also are capable to feed the whole globe also, or at least attempt to that. So that's where I rest my initial comments.
Yeah, Prashant.
Hello. Thank you, Ram. All the colleagues here on the dais and respected lifetime achiever, Mr. Agrawalji, and my colleagues from industry sitting here. I would like to divide my opening remark into 3 buckets. If we look at the journey till 2047, we also have to see in past we have come from where to where. And if I look at the transformation which has happened after 1971 famine, we have driven a green revolution in India, and we come to self-sufficiency in food grains. That's not a mere achiever. We are not only feeding ourselves, we are also exporting a lot of grains, rice, and other crops, wheat, for that matter, to the entire world. So that is a very good achievement which we have done. If you look at vegetables, the transformation being a part of this journey for last 3 decades, I have seen that tomato yield, which some of the vegetables which were available only some part of the year, were available now throughout the year, and at a affordable price for the consumers, Indian population, to get very healthy food. So that's the transformation which has happened. In agriculture sector, we can always believe and proudly say that we are the largest producer of milk in the world today. So those are the achievements which were made by the industry, and seed industry has played a vital role in improving yield levels, which were there at maybe at 50 years before and now, where we have reached. But is that sufficient? I don't think that is sufficient, and we need to really look at how we look forward and what is going to change. So, if I look forward, I think there are a lot of things going to change. The way agriculture was happening, there is a change in the way farming was done 5 years before now, and also in future. The seed technologies, the hybridization, coupled with the collaborative efforts with other industry, will definitely take our yield levels higher and higher. In future, I think farmer income is going to increase, because agriculture is not only seen as a food industry as such, but it will be also seen as a fuel in terms of ethanol, if we look at, and several crops are there which are contributing to ethanol now. And a day will come till 2047, I think, we become net exporter of ethanol from India. We prepare for ourselves, but we also can export, and that kind of potential is there in that. So the agriculture for fuel is coming in future. A lot of mechanization drives are going to come. Use of mechanization, seed hybridization, and other industries like biologicals plus balanced utilization of all the resources will definitely make a great change, and we will be a good, rather we say that, becoming Atmanirbhar in oilseed and pulses. Ram, you were mentioning about it. That is one immediate thing which we need to do. And last but not least, I think the face has to change. We take this as an industry. Agriculture as an industry, what we talk about. When I enter into agriculture college, first thing they told me that it's an industry. Are we treating it as an industry? Largest industry, 60% economy depending. But are we really treating it as an industry? What is the industry? If you look at car industry, look at any other industry, what consumer is paying for the product, larger share goes to the producer. Except in agriculture. And can we change this? And if we change this through a lot of IT, biological, data analytics, everything is increasing now. And we can know through a lot of efforts in technology, accessibility, we know what farmer is growing in his field today with satellite images and all those things. I had a dream that my farmer will get a larger portion of what consumer is paying, what he's producing for. And that's the vision if we start working on. I think that will be a good day for our agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think some very important points you made, and I will definitely come back to ethanol because I know that you are one of the largest corn seed sellers. So I want to link those two and ask you a few uncomfortable questions. I will come back. Yeah. Yeah. Raju.
No, thanks a lot, first of all, for giving me this opportunity to be sitting next to my guru, if I may. I think the larger mega trends are very clear. I think the agriculture is increasingly becoming a national security issue rather than food security. I mean, you are just seeing China versus US and what's happening with soybeans and other stuff. So agriculture trade per se no longer is agricultural trade. It's basically a national security issue. For a nation which is looking to achieve something like 170 million, 1.7 billion people, this becomes even more acute. And a nation which has an aspiration to be a global food bowl over and above meeting the needs of food for its own country, it becomes even more pronounced or even more highlighted. What we are looking, so there is one trend that India very clearly needs to address as we talk about our policy and how the nation must progress. Number two, I think sustainability is becoming a big issue. Resources are quickly and definitely getting deteriorated or maybe not available to agriculture. Hence, growing more with less is the theme that policies must look at, aim at. Reducing wastages very clearly, especially wastages that even pollute the environment. Look at fertilizer. Use efficiency of urea is what, about 26, 27%? Phosphate similarly. So pesticides use efficiency pretty low. So is true with water. So how do we address the inefficiencies in agriculture? And the next one is climate is continuously changing. So how do you have a resilient agriculture? What policy prescriptions could address or could impact the growth or the direction of the agri-input industry is equally important. And the last and the most important is how do we make the farmer profitable? Because all this while, the MSPs and all can only go this far. Beyond that, people must succeed under market economy conditions. The farmers must succeed because you have almost like more than 40% of the population dependent directly on agriculture. And within agriculture, if you can look at, while the agriculture is growing at something like 4-5% cumulatively, but most of the growth is coming not out of cereals, unfortunately. It is coming either out of horticulture, animal waste industry, fisheries and others. So the cereals is flat, which means that while the input consumption is more, the productivity is less, hence that's another issue that we need to address. So to address all of them, most important, in my opinion, is the role of technology. Because unless you raise the productivity per unit of factor of production, we are not going to be competitive. And if we are not competitive, we are highly inefficient. This will not sustain moving forward because the world is changing and is changing very, very fast. So when we come to technologies, I think, I don't know how deep do you want me to go right now or in the first question? Or okay, we'll come back on that. So what clearly this context throws up multiple opportunities where technology must play a where policy must play a role. So maybe in the next round as you come, I would like to talk about my favorite is basically the regulatory cholesterol. The regulatory cholesterol which is clogging the arteries, preventing the blood to flow through the agriculture system, blocking all new innovations or at least delaying them, if not denying them, creating situations like heart failure situations. So that's a big issue. Number two, lack of consensus between the center and the states, no harmony, no harmonization, which is again very critical if we need to grow. Third, a common platform where all technologies can talk to each other together. Seed can talk to agrochem can talk to fertilizer, nutrition, and irrigation and everything. So how do we have that platform which addresses inputs towards the solution for agricultural growth? So let me just stop here, and maybe I can come with more details later.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'll come back to all three of you with some questions, and we have, let's say, maybe another half an hour time or less than that. So let's imagine that we are here, sitting here in 2047. Okay? How do you reimagine agriculture in 2047? As related to your industry, okay? Means if you are in a crop protection chemicals or crop protection, I won't say chemicals, you are in crop protection. How do you reimagine crop protection in 2047? How should it look like? What components it will have? And then how will you actually address? See, we can easily get lost in the challenges and in the problems, but can we find some answers through the reimagination process?
I think Bayer is very futuristic in this matter because if you look at Bayer, today we provide seeds, we provide crop medicines, let me call it as, because crop protection comes through not the pesticides, new name should be medicines, that's what we are propagating. And also the genetically modified or genetically engineered traits that we should have, and we are having it now. And also the most important thing is biological components or biostimulants or biological components. So these four pillars that we work at this point of time, and the hybrid seeds, which are very, very crucial vehicles to take it forward to 2047. If I am sitting in 2047, I think my technologies should be combined and given to the farmer. And that will definitely enhance the productivity. For example, corn, as Prashant said, ethanol. What is happening today is 2 years back, we were self-sufficient. Suddenly, we became a net importer, right? So today, I think more or less the statistics says we are at around 40 million tons of corn production. We need at least 72 million tons by 2030. And just imagine 2047. So you need a kind of combined approach where we can produce more from the same piece of land. And if I listen to the previous panel, and also with my experience, I can clearly see that growing any crop in the soil, which is becoming very tough for anyone, because we need to rejuvenate that also. So all these components has to come together. It should not be going as arcelleries in different ways. It has to be combined and create a vehicle to give it to the farmer, who is very strongly getting matured. They were matured in the past also. Even today, if I'm looking at them, they want the new technologies at a quick pace. And I'm not in agreement that Indian farmer doesn't spend much. They're ready to spend. They're ready to adore the new technologies. But the correct messages are not going to them, and their trust we need to win. That's another component which I'll be sitting in 2047, if I'm alive, definitely want to watch that. And once the productivity is there, we also need to look at how it can be marketed and stored first before marketing. As Raju was saying about the wastage, it's not only the chemical fertilizers or any other thing. Food material has been wasted profoundly during the transportation, during the harvest, all this. So we need mechanization, we need storage capabilities, which has to come from government and public-private partnerships, or else it will not happen tomorrow. We need this time. I think a lot has been done, a lot has to be created in the future. Finally, I do agree with one of the panelists who said that the money has to go back to the producer. Today, it's maybe 20%, maybe 25%. It all depends upon the produce that they are producing. Now, if that goes to the 40%, if not 50, that will be fantastic because the farmer can afford to buy any technology that we are building up with humongous investment into each of the technology, because we know any molecule to come out takes millions of dollars and 10 to 12 years of time. Any technology like GM, genetically modified, I think it's not only science creation, but it has become now an essential component in enhancing the productivity and safeguarding the plant, right? So all this, I envisage that by 2047 we will be having, and coming out of the cholesterol, Raju, I think we can get into the country, all these technologies which are there, even the countries which are like Vietnam or Philippines, where the production has gone up tremendously in the short period of time. And with the hard work that our farmers are putting in, Kaundinya Garu, I think it's a matter of giving them arms to fight and produce more for the country. As I said, making a country, a nation which is food secured to a farm tech powerhouse. And I'm very, very confident that we have all this, only the collaboration has to come through. I think it will be there. And organizations like us, we are struggling and we need guidance to reach out to the government and to provide these new technologies to the country at this point of time.
Thank you. So I think the technology piece is very well received, that we need technologies in crop protection or seeds or biologicals which are world-class, cutting-edge technologies. Our farmers must have access to such technologies which other farmers have in the world. You can't fight those farmers with these technologies because then you are not competitive enough. So I think that piece is very well taken. There is also a piece of economic practices. I think we need to also look at economic practices. I know that Bayer and some of the other companies are actively working on promoting DSR, for example. Okay, can we foresee that 60–70% of rice in the country by 2047 will be grown with DSR? What will that require? What kind of technologies will that require? How will you manage weeds? So will you have the weed management technology necessary to actually cultivate through DSR? 60% of water used for transplanting of rice in the country. 4,000 to 5,000 liters of water to produce 1 kilo of rice. These are not sustainable numbers, obviously. And in 22 years, these numbers have to change. So that means when we say technologies, we also have to combine them with some of the economic practices. For example, minimum tillage. Minimum tillage is something which I think any sensible person will recommend, because that is something which will save the soil. We are all talking of soil degradation, and minimum tillage will actually save soil, provided you know how to control weeds, right? So I think weeds management is a very big thing that will have to be addressed in the next 20 years. The level of losses that take place because of weeds is very high, and 25% to 35% losses in yields because of weeds in multiple crops. So how do we reimagine that situation? Weed management, how will it take place? Okay, and so maybe Raju, you can throw some light on some of these aspects. And of course, your favorite subject of policy, you also mentioned about this agriculture being a state subject. So how do you foresee, we know the problems, lack of alignment today, but what do you recommend that how to bring the alignment?
So let me start with the center-state harmonization. GST has taught us that the continuous squabbling between the center and the state can be gotten over very easily. So can we have a system, GST-like system, which for agriculture, where there is a national consensus on agriculture. GST is also a national consensus on taxation. Here, because there was a direct benefit to the states of revenue, so they were proactively engaged. But agriculture offers the largest number of votes for any state or any political party. Hence, I mean, on one place you have money, on the other place you have votes. So I think the states should be on board. So if we can have a national body on agriculture, which then executes the national programs developed in collaboration with the states, in consent with the states, executed by the states, under the direct supervision and monitoring of the center, I think that's one of the solutions that should work perfectly well. There are n number of ways in which the policies get implemented, the acts get implemented in the states. So those all, the ease of doing business would be so easy, and the ease of doing farming would become even better. Also, I think absorption of technology will really zoom up if we have such a thing. I mean, so that's one. Number two, you talked about pest losses, weeds. I think the last number I had heard from ICR was about 80,000 crores per annum, but that's grossly understated number. I'm very sure this is way more than 1.2 lakh crores per annum loss happening because of weeds. The other challenge around with weeds is that how do you control weeds? There are no labor available. Of all the states, who is crying for labor today? Can you imagine? Bihar, UP. The states which were the labor suppliers of the whole country today are crying for labor. Labor is not available because the alternatives are, and the government incentive schemes are so well delivered at the grassroots that people have enough money at the grassroots. They don't want to come as a labor. Hence, need for weed control. I think one of the examples which you very rightly put out, which stands at the crosshair of, let's say, sustainability, resource optimization, and weed control, is DSR. So one of the biggest challenges with DSR is how do you control the weeds. So I think organizations have worked. We at FMC have a breakthrough product. It's called Dodilux. We have already put it under registration in the country, but it is absorbing the regulatory cholesterol right now. Hopefully soon it should have a stenting, and the product would be launched in the country. I'm very sure if we work together with the seed companies and with the companies where there's a genetic engineering component to it, which allows a better weedicide application. That's the stage, and of course the application method. So that's the solution. We will have innovative new chemical weed control, which will take place. All the innovator companies are working. All of us are aware that rice is a critical crop for the country. Water is not going to be available all through. It's already 85% of the rice growing areas are scarred with water shortages. Hence, if we need to continue producing rice, we will have to introduce DSR. The success will lie on how do we apply these weedicides properly at the grassroots. That's where role of mechanization as well as digital interventions will have to come in specific and precise delivery of such solutions at the grassroots. So I don't know if it's become too much cliched. But that's the answer.
Yeah, you have picked up all the right keywords. Yeah, so I think that's good. Yeah, there is no doubt that we have to address the weeds issue and the labor issue. By 2047, even this labor will not be available, right? That is very clear.
There will be. I mean, it will be almost like the other component I see is the way the land fragmentation is going. unless there is a land policy change at the grassroots level, at the topmost level, I think, imagine the land holding could be running into something like less than one canal per farmer. So how do you introduce?
So those are the challenges. So whether the FPO's initiative will address that is a question.
Or an alternative thereof,
Or
a corporate farming or a corporate delivery at a geography. For example, drones has been introduced. So
Correct.
could we have a solution delivery? So in my opinion, things will change from only a product-driven approach to a solution-driven approach, where the organizations will deliver solutions. Companies like us will possibly have two roles. One is to bring in innovative products. Second is to maybe either be ourselves the solution providers or tie up with solution providers who will do the last mile delivery of these solutions in an effective and efficient manner.
In fact, one of the points which came, I think, between the two of you is that, and also in the earlier discussion, I think Kalyani mentioned about the integrated solutions. When a salesman goes to the farmer, he should not go just to sell his product. He should have sufficient knowledge to really understand the interplay of different inputs. And he should be able to offer a solution which is beneficial to the farmer. Not just to sell his product, but to actually benefit the farmer. There is a mindset change which I think the industry has to bring about. And that is very critical.
If I may intervene, you will not need salesmen to sell your product because it will be digital.
Whatever.
And it will be virtual.
So
And
maybe
it will be delivered.
AI salesman will go and then he may sell or she may sell. So let me come to you, Prashant. The difficult question I wanted to ask you is that so do you foresee that if ethanol is being produced and the poultry industry is saying that they need 100 million tons of maize and ethanol industry will need another 100 million tons of maize, do you think the entire country will be covered with maize? What will happen to land use patterns in the country? What will happen to our crop portfolio? What is the right crop portfolio that we want to promote in the country?
Okay, a nice question.
Okay, I'm glad that it is nice. Yeah.
I have taught when I used to play cricket, and they said googly has to be played with a straight bat, you know. So look at countries where this corn is grown in a larger way. If you go to Indonesia, for example, a big volume of corn is grown there. And each and every part of soil they have converted into corn cultivation. Rice is also another crop there, and they are maintaining the balance. If I talk about India particularly, the corn availability will improve through two stages, which I think. One is that, if you look at our average availability or yield today of corn is around 27 quintal per acre. Now, this was 5 years below, was quite low. Now, the hybridization and the improved hybrid and agronomic practices together, there are products from Advanta which are delivering 35, 40 quintals per acre yield to the farmers, and not only to 1 and 10, many farmers. And that is why one of the reasons why you mentioned that unimaginable growth which Advanta has taken. So our products are delivering better, and not only ours, seed industry as such will bring those products which will improve the productivity. Earlier in corn business, if you look at, only the Bihar used to be a highest producer of corn, and per acre yield in Bihar used to be higher. But with their breeding and genetical footprint into wet season or rainy season corn hybridization and new advanced hybrid which was brought by Advanta and other companies, helping farmer to improve corn yield. So the most of the portion of corn will come there. And when I said ethanol, now there is not only corn there, but there is a broken rice, there is some other crops which are coming in. Was a broken rice, and even the wastage from rice mills can be used, and I have seen companies, ethanol producers using that, the wastage from rice mills, and that also getting value now. Earlier they used to have a problem where I should utilize this, so that is also being used now. Another crops which is being evaluated by Advanta today is sweet sorghum. Now that can provide, sweet sorghum can give extension to the sugar mill for their crushing for ethanol. So if they get 1 month prior crushing period and 2 months later sugarcane crushing, if they can extend their crushing and the ethanol can be produced. We have done a lot of experiments with National Sugar Institute, Kanpur. And we are also doing this year in Kharif, we have 800 acres as per the Government of India with BPCL project which we are doing. 800 acres sweet sorghum has been grown. 450 acres have been harvested in Karnataka. From 1 ton biomass, we are getting 57 liters of ethanol. So that can become another source for ethanol production. And lot of things can be really looked upon. So those new sources will come, and I think the future will be how we balance our requirement in other crops, crops demography. For example, I think in corn after rice, in wet season you grow corn, and in dry season there will be improvement in the corn acreages. Maybe certain crops we are self-sufficient, like wheat. Punjab government wants to go away from rice, go away from wheat, introduce new crops. And that there the place is there, I think, where our country can balance those things and meet the requirement. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah. So I think I'm glad that you didn't say that the whole country will be covered with corn.
No.
So you are saying that there will be a balance and there will be multiple crops which will be grown, and the new crops for ethanol production will also come into picture. So I think overall we are talking of using of technology, using of different crop portfolio management in the country, agronomic practices, and
I think we need to educate the farmer or educate the even regulators not to go for only the crop whose commodity is high at this point of time. For example, as you rightly said, balancing is required for sure. But at the same time, if the commodity prices are good, people are rushing towards that one single crop. And there is a need where that crop resilience for the climate changes is required, and we are working on it. Like, the seeds which are resilient to the drought situations, and also the wet conditions where this kind of year, if we are getting, how to safeguard the crops. If that is there, Kaundinya, I think these kind of technologies which are coming in future will help us to get more yield, and also in the areas where today there is no cultivation or a single crop cultivation is there, those areas can be converted into 2 crop cycles. So that will help us to balance it out. So these are the 3 components beyond our technological, forward thought process.
I think
will help us.
I would like to add on that, and Ram, one more point is that India has to look at sorghum as a very, very alternative source for all the places where corn is utilized, sorghum can be utilized. And now sorghum is a climate smart crop. It can be grown in rain-fed conditions. And that is why we can relook. I mean, for cattle feed, poultry feed, sorghum can be a best source. It is very close to natural food habitat of the cattle and poultry. I mean, that's another story which can emerge out of it.
I think millets, there is a lot of talk of promoting more and more millets. So that is also something which is good from the point of view of management of water and things like that. So closing statements now.
No, I just want to add to what these 2 people have said. See, other thing is agriculture will essentially have to be market driven agriculture rather than production driven agriculture, because production driven agriculture will always create a mess as we see today. So market driven means specific value chains would drive or should drive what do we have to grow. For example, if energy is the need of the nation, long-term need of the nation, then policies will have to be according to that. Incentivization must be according to that. But similarly, I mean, if nutrition is the need of the nation, then policies will have to be, then the crop areas, if I may say, will have to be designed accordingly. So you can't have that, okay, because seed industry can produce so much seed, we will go for so much. That's not the way, ideally, it should work, and I don't see that working that way. So moving forward, depending on what we need for ourselves, what we need to export, I think the areas will have to be assigned to each crop, and value chain driven agriculture will have to come in place.
Okay. Now that's a very good point on value chain development, because the point you mentioned that farmer doesn't get good share of consumer price will be addressed only through value chain development. So that is also the target of the government, to take it up to about 60%. Currently it's around 25 to 30%, and there is it's a part of the double farmers income report that you see also, that it has to be improved. So I think those are all very interesting points, and we will just say 1 or 2 sentences each, your closing statements.
I would recommend to have this precision farming, not to the levels of developed nations, but even if we are there, 50–40% will be very good. And secondly, as I said in the beginning, the farmer adaptability is very, very quick nowadays. We need to give them the solutions as a complete solution, not as pesticide or a technology or a seed or a biostimulant or a biological, but we need to give them as a complete balance and a package. And talk about solutions, they're ready to take it up.
I think 2 sentences. So first sentence is, the government needs to be absolutely clear on allowing free and rapid introduction of technologies by way of rationalizing regulations. That's sentence number 1. Number 2, the industry has to be extremely agile, responsible, and accountable for delivery at the grassroots.
Very good. Good points.
So I can imagine 2047, Ram, you said that, I feel that, farmers will get at least 40% of what consumer is paying, what he's producing for. That is number 1. Number 2 is, I am imagining a farmer sitting in his room in front of his computer and controlling all the field operations. That is going to happen, and with automation, with kind of advancement in technology, I feel that educated youth will go back to farming because employment is in crunch. So that is what my imagination about 2047.
You have addressed very important points, and I would conclude it here by thanking all of you for very, very good points which have been made out. And this is a very difficult topic, Raj, you have given to us. That I know that I only chose that topic, but it is a difficult topic. Yeah, but I think there is a lot that can be done and must be done to make our agriculture very different from what it is today. And if you just imagine our agriculture 22 years back, how it was, from then till now, there's a lot of change that has happened in terms of technology. But next 22 years, the technology change will have to be even many times more than what has happened in the last 22 years. So we do visualize that this will be a completely different scenario. And but at the end of the day, as we all know, it has to be farmer-centric. It has to make money for the farmer, and it has to be good for the environment. It has to be good for natural resources, but it also has to be good for the country in terms of being competitive in the international markets and not only meeting our demands local, but also being able to export out of the country. So those are a few things. So thank you all very much for your time, and thanks to all the audience.
Thank you so much. Requesting the moderator and the panelists to please step forward for a group photograph. And I would invite S.K. Malhotra, Vice Chancellor, Maharana Pratap Horticulture University, to please step up onto the stage and honor the moderator and the panelist. Let's give it up for the moderator, Ram Kaundinya, partner Agvaya. Let's honor our panelists, Raju Kapoor, Director, Public and Industry Affairs, FMC. Let's give it up for Mohan, Babu, Rajaram, COO, India, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, Bayer Crop Sciences. And Prashant, Belgamwar, Regional Head, Asia, Africa and International Vegetables, Advanta Seeds.
I just want to say, Viksit Bharat, the topic 2047, as Sir has been repeatedly telling 22 years. I see a lot of young crowd here. ये अभी आपका मौका है. You see, I've seen a lot of 20s, 30s sitting here, even 40s probably. This is an opportunity. Don't let this team down. 2047, is it? Thank you so much.
We are not going anywhere.
Requesting all of you to please stay for a photograph. Thank you once again, team, for such a thought-provoking session. Thank you so much.